Why Zap left? Zap got an offer, I don't know, Friday or something like that to go play with the Leviathan, or Thursday to go play with the Leviathans because they were kicking Julio. Julio got removed from the roster. They're gonna move Yarkor back to solo. And then they needed an AC, and they chose Zap. And Zap didn't want to have to deal with all like the childishness and the immaturity that we were going through as a roster, and he thought it was just his better option. And me, Slaney, and Bronick were just like, yeah, fair enough, man. Thanks for playing with us. Wish you the best. Good luck. And yeah, Zap left. Why Lairs was kicked. So I guess just going back to kind of like the start of it, Lairs kind of had problems through the year. He wasn't a great teammate really all the time. A lot of it was just like in-game stuff and scrim culture stuff that I guess he just wasn't familiar with, and he just wasn't, I don't know, used to, I guess. But we ended up scrimming without Zap. We played with whatever roster we had after Zap left. I think it was just Stu ADC or someone else, I don't remember. And we played with Cherry in the jungle, and we played it was Lairs, not Cherry. We played with Lairs in the jungle. We scrimmed the Leviathans. First game we kind of got absolutely dumped on. Like 6 minutes in the second game we had to surrender because we were getting absolutely dumped on. And then the third, fourth, fifth, I think it was just those 3 games. Then we had 3 very, very good games in a row. We did lose all of them, but it was a very good game. And this was Slaney in solo, not Sot. Slaney was playing solo. So yeah, we ended up playing pretty well those last 3 games. We lost all of them, but they were pretty good games. After the games, Lairs kind of asked us like, yo, can we play with Wolves? To me and to Slaney, it really didn't make sense to play with Wolves for just 2 days because we were still stuck, or we still stuck on the thought of playing with Sot again. We wanted to play with Sot again. But it didn't feel like Lairs wanted to. It felt like Lairs was just like pushing for Wolves to play. And we were like, why are we just going to bring him in for 1 game? And Lairs was like, just so we can, he just wanted Wolves. It basically felt like he wanted Wolves on the roster, like over Sot. Like he didn't want to play with Sot anymore. But it was a weird thing. And then after that, we kind of said, no, it's just going to make everything weird if we have to play with Wolves for 1 week and then move back to Sot, because then we're just missing out on a week of scrims. Either we're playing with Wolves when he hasn't played any games, or we're playing with no games with Sot and whoever our jungler and ADCs are. So it just made like basically no sense to me and Slaney, and we told him that no, we're not doing that, we're gonna play with Slaney. So he ended up leaving, and then like, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes passed, and then we start hearing him in the mic, and he's yelling about us to his parents, I assume, and he's calling us suckers and a bunch of other kind of like deplorable things. And he was BMing Slaney a lot. And I mean, I left kind of right away because I didn't want to have to listen to that, so I just left right away. And Slaney and Brendan apparently just sat through it and just listened to it. And after that, Slaney kind of added him and said, yo, you might want to mute. And Lairs was like, no, I'm not going to mute. It's ridiculous or whatever. And then he kind of just threw a hissy fit again in front of us after doing the first one behind our back and basically being very toxic and BMing us. So then after that, we basically were just all set on kicking him. None of us wanted to play with him again. That was kind of like the final straw. And yeah, that's the story of why Lairs got kicked. Leviathans were planning on kicking Julio before the permaban. Nobody really knew, I don't think. At least from my perspective, nobody knew. None of the pros knew. But they were kicking Julio before. They were going to move Yark back, and then they were looking for an ADC, and they settled on Zap. Sot's benching. I think Sot's benching, it was something that we just wanted to give him a punishment for, and we felt like it was something he needed a punishment for, because what he did was kind of, I mean, it was very, very unfair to Lairs that it happened. Lairs had to drive down here with his dad, and we felt like a punishment was in order, and it was probably just going to be a 2-week benching or something like that, and then we were just going to move on from it. And then we were hoping with that 2 weeks, he could also get his sleep schedule back in order and just kind of get like back in like the mood to start scrimming again. But we were always, we were planning on playing with Sot again. We wanted to play with Sot. We didn't want to bring in Wolves to play or anyone like that. I don't want to speak on our rosters coming up because there is so much to happen. So I don't want to talk on our, that's like the one thing I probably won't talk about. I think what Lairs did was also pretty mature in how he handled it. Can you speak on the housing issues Lairs spoke of in his Twitter's? He was disappointed with how the house looked, which is fair. I think it was, I think the bathroom was a little gross. Having pee on the toilet is, I mean, not something that I'd want in my bathroom. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but that is something that you tell your teammate, yo, clean your toilet. Your toilet doesn't even have piss on it. And right there, it should have been done. And it should have been Sot cleaning the toilet then after, but he just kind of didn't talk to Sot about it. And then it was something that wasn't talked about until after everything was over. I think the biggest thing is Just everything about how he handled it was just not correct. I guess he made that assumption that Sot was depressed, but Sot wasn't depressed. I talked to him about it. He said he wasn't. So, did you guys try to recruit weekend? Okay. Also, that was a troll. I really don't hate Kurt. And if the process came and I had to team with him again, and he was at the top of his game, I'd team with him. It was a troll. I wouldn't actually not team with him. Sorry if you said this already, but if Cher is temporary and Selenia is sadly not SPL level, are you worried about finding an SPL level jungler? No, I'm not worried about it. I think we have 3 very, very good core players. We should kill this guy. We have 3 very, very good core players that we can kind of build the rest of our team around. Which, as Screamin' looked at, we are looking at all jungler opportunity or like players that have been presented to us. Posting a toilet close-up is definitely a rational response to be booted for toxicity. What do you mean? Yeah, I didn't like how he handled it. I believe Lairs has had the most jungle potential as a rookie. Do you think any jungle will match his play again? Ignoring all the Twitter because... I mean, I think he had a lot of problems in game too. I think Lairs had good potential, but I think he missed something that was very big for junglers to have at an SPL level, and that's comms. And I think until he fixes that, he'll be not a great pro player. Because I think comms are probably more important than any type of skill level. May for you to have join your team. Scrims a little bit. Talking to past teammates to see how someone played as a teammate, how they played in game. I mean, it's kind of a lot of stuff. Did you and Zap have a dynamic you will miss? I mean, personally, I love teaming with Zap, and I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to because he taught me kind of a lot. I feel like I've learned a lot this year that most other ADCs wouldn't have been able to teach me, and I feel like I'm becoming a lot better of a player because of it. You think you'll have a jungle by next set after tomorrow's game? Next week's set? Potentially? I'm not sure. The biggest talking point should just be how he handled it. I mean, even if he was disappointed with how the house looked, it's the same thing as if you're pissed about how somebody's playing the game. As a team, you tell that person, yo, you're playing kind of today. Yo, maybe you calm today. Yo, maybe show up early today. Yo, maybe you clean your toilet. How long did Cherry? I mean, Selenie touches on it, but we kind of talked to Cherry a little bit about playing because I was super pissed at Lairs from previous stuff. Cherry knew as an option. Are you winning some? Of course. What did I lose? What was the previous stuff? I mean, I touched on it a little bit, but he would show up late to scrims. He went in common scrims, so it's almost like scrims weren't worth playing. Kind of wasted a lot of the time by showing up to scrims late and then not wanting to play or not giving a rat really. After we confronted him, he kind of made it not a big deal, that it wasn't like him being late to scrims was nothing, and he just kind of like laughed it off. The only thing that finally like clicked in his head that it was something serious was when we told him that we were probably dropping him if he doesn't change his attitude, and he finally changed it a little bit. And then he was still on thin ice because of all the previous, like, I'm talking like, if you guys have to play scrims 5 out of 7 days, 4 out of 7 days, and one of your players is late and you're showing up every day early, it is a terrible feeling, especially when he's late. Every day. We bring it to him every day. Yo, show up on time. Every day he's late. Is Stuart a mainstay for the bugs? Not yet. We're going through all of our options, but I liked how he played today. Is it Sot or Lairs? Lairs. Sot's only problem was in the past month was he showing up late to scrims. Or no, Sot was never really late to scrims. Sot had a sleep schedule problem that caused him to be on time to scrims, but having no energy. So he'd show up and then just basically just be there, but not like be there. Who's late every day? It was Lairs. Not trying to be disrespectful because I'm new to the Spy Pro League, but who are you? Who am I? I'm the Solar Scarabs support, man. What is this whole head wrench not paying? Can you explain? I think the best way to talk about it is Lairs is saying that he thinks Faye should be paying for part of the apartment because she is a person in the house. When he says a head, it means a person in the house. And he thinks that because there's 2 of them, even though it's 1 room, there should be 2 of them paying. However, at the beginning of the year, we knew that Selenie was going to be living with Faye, and we knew how the payment arrangements were going to work. Selenie and Faye are 1 person. We all agreed on that. They'd pay 1/5 of the rent. Zap is out of this. We're not talking about Zap because Zap lives on his own. So it's not talking about Zap. And then every other player pays for their 5th. I pay for 5th. Brendan pays for 5th. Sot pays for a 5th, and Lairs pays for a 5th. Lairs just said on Twitter he never agreed to it. He knew very, very long in advance, and he did agree to it. Lairs paid for living there, but he wasn't actually there. Yep. Y'all live in one house? No, 2 different apartments. Utilities? I don't know how they split it, but me and Brendan, I pay for electricity, and he pays for internet. Why would he pay if he's not living there, though? Because that is his apartment that he was planning on moving down. But because SPL was pushed back, he didn't want to move down. But because, like, he didn't want to move down, should he not have to pay for the rent that he promised he would pay for a year? Did he sign the lease? He was not on the lease. but he did agree to it. Kind of such paying for something you aren't even on a lease for. He said he would move down. He said it would be his part. He said that he would be on the team and he would move down there. If he wants to say that he would move down there and pay for it and then doesn't pay for it, I think it's makes sense that he screwed us if that's what he did. I mean, Lairs doesn't have to pay anymore. It would work as if you are on the team, you pay for your fifth. Lairs isn't on the team anymore. He doesn't have to pay anymore. Better believe me, I'm not paying for other people to live in a house. Then you'd get dropped from the team. If you don't pay for your fifth that you said you would pay for and you would live there, that's your fault. That is you putting yourself in that position. If he didn't want to move down, then he shouldn't have agreed to pay for that part of the house. Julio's permaban. I think he is well within the area to be permabanned. I think it sucks that he was permabanned without knowing, because it is part of his living, and I think he should have deserved to know. But I think it is unacceptable what he said. Fortunately, I don't have to make the decision because I don't know what I would make. I don't think you need to make it public, but I think the whole apartment was disgusting. I mean, fair. If you're in his shoes, Batman, and you thought it was disgusting, and that is something that you went to Sot and to Faye and Slaney and said, the apartment's disgusting, please clean it, then I think that is fair. And I think that would have been handled well. I think the bringing it public was just no reason. It doesn't make sense.